I don't know if you've noticed, but since Avengers Endgame released in 2019, the Marvel Cinematic Universe has struggled to maintain its dominance on pop culture.
No way!
In fact, the only movie that I've ever gone to see at midnight release was Avengers Endgame in 2019. But since then, the franchise has struggled with narrative cohesion, audience fatigue, and diminishing box office returns. Yeah, sure, there have been some projects that have been really good and have succeeded, but the overall perception is that Marvel has lost its magic. It's lost its way.
That is brand new information!
And one of the biggest problems with the MCU in its post-Endgame era is just the sheer volume of content that has been produced. The introduction of Disney Plus shows like WandaVision, Moon Knight, She-Hulk. Who remembers She-Hulk? To be fair, it's probably for the best that you don't remember She-Hulk. But the point is, the expectation that viewers must keep up with every single show that's released, just to understand what happens in a Marvel movie, has diluted a lot of excitement and interest surrounding the Marvel franchise. Previously, audiences only had to watch 2, possibly 3 Marvel movies a year to stay engaged, to stay up to date with everything that's happening in the MCU. Then with multiple shows releasing annually, it left people falling behind. The interconnected storytelling was once a strength of the MCU, but since Avengers Endgame it's turned into a barrier to entry. And it's also worth saying that not all of these shows have maintained the same level of quality as the MCU's early films. Rushed production, terrible writing, and VFX problems have led to a decline in reception.
Does that look real?
In that particular shot, no, actually.
The introduction of the multiverse and time travel shenanigans has further complicated the Marvel Cinematic Universe's storytelling. While some people may enjoy concepts like variants and alternate realities, they've introduced layers of complexity that is simply just confusing. One of the biggest problems is the idea of multiple versions of characters existing at the same time. For example, in the Loki series, they introduced variants of Loki, and they all had different appearances and personalities. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness tried to expand on this by showing alternate versions of established characters. And while some die-hard comic book fans might appreciate the multiversal possibilities, casual viewers struggle to keep track of which version of a character matters most, or why they should even be emotionally invested. Also, the time travel mechanics that were introduced in Avengers Endgame created further confusion. The film tried to explain the time travel rules, but subsequent projects have, how shall we put this, poo-pooed on those explanations.
What?
The Loki series introduced the Time Variance Authority, or actually known as the TVA, and they supposedly govern the timeline, but later in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, the villain Kang was presented as someone who manipulates time and the multiverse differently.
I'm so confused.
With inconsistent rules and multiple conflicting explanations, the MCU's time travel and multiverse mechanics have become difficult for audiences to understand. And lastly, I think one of the biggest problems with the multiverse is that it reduces the tension and stakes. Now, if an important character dies, audiences will just assume that they will simply return as a variant from another universe. Without clear boundaries and explanations, the multiverse isn't an engaging storytelling mechanic. It's an excuse to resurrect characters whenever they like, and that makes it harder for audiences to invest emotionally in the stakes of each film. Now, one of the key reasons the Infinity Saga was so successful was the slow build-up of Thanos as the antagonist. In the post-Endgame era, the MCU has lacked a singular, compelling villain to drive the overarching narrative. Kang the Conqueror was initially positioned to be the next big bad guy, but the actor Jonathan Majors run into, problems. Without a powerful and compelling villain, audiences struggle to see the long-term stakes. Well, that was at least the case until it was announced that Robert Downey Jr. was returning to the MCU to play Doctor Doom. Now, I'm going to say something that might surprise a few people, but I actually think it's a good idea.
Have you lost your mind? Go! You disgust me! Go!
Now, I know some people will point to and say it's just nostalgia baiting and it's lazy and all of those sorts of arguments. And I get that, but the return of Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom could be a game changer, as Doctor Doom is one of Marvel's greatest antagonists. He's intelligent, he's ruthless, and he's complex.
What can I tell you? I like playing complicated characters.
Robert Downey Jr.'s presence adds some weight to the role, and it ensures that Doctor Doom becomes a central and compelling villain who commands the attention that the character deserves. Bringing back some of that magic that made the earlier MCU films so successful, his charisma and depth would also ensure that Doctor Doom is more than just another generic villain, but an iconic villain who could rival the depth and impact that Thanos had. These upcoming Avengers films need to reset the MCU storylines and eliminate unnecessary complexity. Marvel needs to clarify what actually matters moving forwards. It needs to re-establish a core Avengers team while simplifying the multiverse chaos. A streamlined universe with clear rules will make the storytelling more engaging and accessible. If Marvel learns from its recent missteps and prioritizes quality over quantity, Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars could be the cinematic events that restore the franchise to its former glory. By streamlining the story, creating a worthy villain, and leveraging fan nostalgia strategically, these films have the potential to rekindle everybody's excitement again and set the MCU back on the right path. But Marvel executives need to hear Voldemort's words from Skyfall.
Don't cock it up.
And that's the blunt truth of it.